Naturally, Keiichi doesn't quite know where to begin, so he does what any rational person in his position would do.
Hey Mom, how do I kill someone?
What?
Hypothetically.
Okay, he doesn't quite say it like that. He asks his mum what story pulls off an unsolvable crime. She tells him that a story like that doesn't exist, since an unsolvable mystery wouldn't make for a good story. After a little chat about basic plot structure, Keiichi is able to figure out that the perfect crime is one that doesn't necessarily happen.
Making it look like nothing happened isn't easy. In fact, it's extremely difficult. Oh.
I do hope that last part wasn't important information. I'm Keiichi's mum, apparently.
Keiichi begins his ingenious plan. He starts off by heading to the school that he's just able to get into, apparently, and swipes Satoshi's old baseball bat, hiding it around the back of some kind of shed. We then see him bike over to some random back road, scouting out an ideal location for his attack. Returning home, he phones Mion and asks her if she can invite Satoko to hang out with the gang at tomorrow's cotton drifting. When asked why he isn't inviting her himself, Keiichi lies, saying he has something important to do. Mion comments on the fact that she received a similar phone call this time last year, from Satoshi, saying he couldn't make it to the festival because he had something important to do. Putting two and two together, Keiichi realizes that it must have been Satoshi who killed his aunt last year. I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty sweet reveal, and kudos to Keiichi to being the one to figure it out. I mean, you know, I feel like Rena could have figured it out as well, but she didn't get the chance. So, yeah. It's the day of the festival, and while the townsfolk flock to the Furude shrine, Keiichi cycles to that random back road. In a clearing not too far away, he starts digging a hole. It's here that we get the scene I mentioned last episode. We get a series of flashbacks to Keiichi's past before he moved to Hinamizawa. We see how he used to be top of his class in pretty much everything. However, while that garnered praise from his parents and teachers, that didn't necessarily grant him any friends. But then he came to Hinamizawa, where the gang pretty much befriended him immediately. And for the first time in his life, he was having fun. For the first time in his life, he had friends. So of course, when one of them is hurting, he's gonna do whatever it takes to save them. Or at least that's the impression the scene gives me. There is actually a little piece of information missing from this scene, but that's not shown until the last arc of the series. So you know, we'll leave that till then.
Whenever that is, am I right?
This is why I get so annoyed whenever Keiichi does something unbelievably dumb, because it seems so out of character for him. As much as I enjoy taking the piss out of him, he is a bright, strong-willed young man with a boatload of determination to boot. And yet he makes some asinine mistakes, like leaving the back door open when he believes people are trying to kill him, questioning why children are at a toy store, not to mention not knowing what the word disappear means. That being said, upon this rewatch, I've actually noticed something that could radically change how Keiichi is perceived and possibly explain a lot about him. I'm starting to wonder if Keiichi is actually autistic. And I don't mean that in a derogatory term either, I'm genuinely serious. During the aforementioned montage, we get this scene.
Keiichi seems to have a hard time when you give him a problem he can't relate to or has no interest in.
Being able to solve a problem one way and not the other is something autistic people do a lot. Keiichi's inability to make friends that easily could be another sign. Even how long it takes for him to process something, that's also a sign. Remember how long it took him to realize he had to turn the cooker off before he burnt his house down? He might not have severe autism that affects his motor functions or the like, but he could potentially potentially be somewhere on the spectrum. This is set in the 1980s after all. Keiichi could be undiagnosed. Even today, many people are left undiagnosed until adulthood. So maybe Keiichi is autistic. It's food for thought, if anything.
That being said, he's not exactly showing us in a good light now, is he?
Anyway, sometime later, Keiichi is back at the school. He grabs the bat from behind the shed, then enters the building to use the phone.
What was the point in hiding the bat back there, if you were just going to go inside anyway? In fact, how did you get inside? It's a Sunday!
He calls up Teppie, pretending to be from the police department. He's eventually able to persuade him to leave his house. Keiichi rushes to the back road, waiting for Teppie to arrive.
K-Bud, if I may, let's examine your brilliant plan here.
So, you've lured your victim away from his home. I get that. You plan to kill him away from prying eyes in some random back road far away from the festival. I get that. You've even prepared a hole in which to bury your victim. I get that. But how can you be sure that he'll come down this particular road? Sure, we don't know the exact location of this road. This could, quite frankly, be the only road to and from his house. But without this kind of information, it looks like he's just chosen some random road in the hopes that Teppie might come down this route. How does he know there isn't another route to the police station? How does he know Teppie will choose this particular road? How can he be so sure that no one else will be using the road in the meantime?
It just raises too many questions.
Luck appears to be on Keiichi's side tonight, as Teppie does venture down the road on his moped.
I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna end it, Satoko.
Keiichi leaps into action, getting his first strike on Teppie as he drives by. Teppie flees the scene, Keiichi giving chase, sending him down a dirt path. After a couple of seconds, Teppie looks behind him, with Keiichi nowhere to be seen. However, he falls down a small ditch, only to be greeted by the bat-wielding Keiichi. Without a second thought, Keiichi unleashes his pent-up anger on Teppie, as the skies spill open. After a while, he stops, nudging his victim with the bat. Teppei Hojo is dead. He steps away, resting on the bat. As he composes himself, he realizes just how far away the hole is, and how far he'll have to carry the body. He also remembers Teppei's scooter, which he disposes of in a nearby pool of water, along with the bat. Interestingly, as he heads to the area where he dug his hole, it's nowhere to be seen. The ground even looks untouched. He hurries back home on his bike and acquires the shovel he used before. Returning to the body, he digs a new hole, hides the body, and covers the area with some foliage before finally relaxing, laughing in the rain. This whole sequence is frankly amazing. From shot composition to the music, the pacing, the atmosphere, it really is top-notch. I will say it's a little convenient story-wise, but I'd be lying if I didn't say Teppei had it coming. I've got a little note here on my script. It just says, things get weird from here. Understatement of the frickin' century. With his deadly deed done, Keiichi begins his trek back home. However, he collapses from exhaustion just as a car passes by. Who should come to his rescue but none other than Mio Takano? She inquires as to why he's out at this time of night, Keiichi quickly making up a lie. He tries to move, but it appears he's twisted his ankle. Takano graciously offers Keiichi a lift home, but he'll have to leave his bike behind as there's no room in her car for it. The pair sit in awkward silence for a while. Until...
Bury the body?
Huh? I'm sorry. I didn't quite hear you.
I asked if you were able to bury the body.
Oh, I don't have a joke. That was just, that was the end of the episode 3. That was the episode 3 cliffhanger. It's very good. Very nice cliffhanger. Very suspenseful. Yeah. Let's continue with the story, shall we? Cool.
As it turns out, she's just trying to make a joke. Maybe all those years being fascinated with culty, spooky stuff has warped her sense of humour. Or maybe she's just terrible at small talk. In any case, Keiichi begins to suspect that she knows more than she's letting on. Arriving at his house, Takano tells Keiichi that if anyone asks, they didn't meet tonight, even commenting that it might even be in his best interest to pretend this never happened. As she drives away, Keiichi, kind of offhandedly, wishes that Oyashiro's curse finds its way to her. As he thinks about this, he hears the sound of a footstep behind him. But when he turns to look, there's no one there. The next morning, Keiichi wakes up late for school. Eventually arriving, he finds the girls talking about the festival, and when Rika asks if Keiichi saw her ceremonial dance, Rena and Mion talk as if Keiichi was actually there. Rena even mentions that Keiichi won her a prize at one of the shooting galleries. Before Keiichi can say anything, the teacher arrives to begin the afternoon lessons. Keiichi spends the rest of the day trying to piece together, from what little information he can get from the others, about what he was doing at the festival. From what he can gather, he spent the day with the gang, each of them having a consistent alibi for him. Come school's end, Keiichi tries to get everyone to do the club thing, and as much as Satoko wants to, she gets up to leave. Keiichi tries to confront her about her uncle not returning last night, but strangely enough, Satoko claims that her uncle had been extra mean to her when she returned from the festival. Keiichi is stunned. It's almost as if everything he did yesterday didn't happen. As Keiichi and Rena walk home, he pretends that he's getting a headache and wants to go to the clinic to sort it out. Rena doesn't necessarily believe him. Oh my god, that face is so cute. But lets him go anyway. After a little pestering by her, Keiichi even suggests bringing a doctor's note to prove he's gone there, to which Rena says,
"Yeah, I think you should. Make sure you don't forget it. I want to make sure that it's real."
The last time someone gave me a doctor's note, it was just a blank piece of paper. Then he waved a screwdriver in my face and gave me these jelly babies. No idea why.
Keiichi retrieves his bike heading back to the school. He believes that, if what he did yesterday really happened, then Satoshi's bat will still be in his locker. Which it isn't. Seemingly forgetting that he moved the bat from the locker before any of the events of yesterday even happened. So of course the bat wouldn't be in there. Does he even go and check behind the shed though? Of course he fucking doesn't, it's Keiichi Mahibara. Finally heading to the clinic, he gets a general checkup by Irei. He tells the coach how everyone seems to think he was at the festival yesterday. Irei is trying to rationalise Keiichi's thinking, even asking if Keiichi can prove he wasn't there, which he's obviously a little hesitant to say yes to. As Irei tries to calm him down, Keiichi finally confesses to killing Teppie, even admitting that while he knows it's wrong, he doesn't regret it. Irei takes this surprisingly well.
Thank you so much. Thank you for saving Satoko.
Thank you, you murdering psychopath.
Again, not that Teppie didn't deserve it, but isn't there something in the Hippocratic Oath about the preservation of all life? Or have I made that up? I don't know, maybe I'm thinking more along the lines of, murder isn't a good thing! Don't congratulate him! In fact, you know what? Rena, slap him. Irei asks if he's sure he actually did kill Teppie, or if he just got someone else by mistake. But Keiichi is adamant he got the right guy. Irei wants some more details from Keiichi, but has to close up the clinic first and offers to get some tea. He leaves him alone for a moment, but Keiichi soon follows, and overhears Irei talking to another doctor about putting some kind of drug in his tea, even possibly having Keiichi restrained.
This is the way you say thank you?
I mean, you did kill a guy. No matter who they are and what they've done, it's still a pretty bad thing. Honestly, I'm surprised he's not phoning the police on your murderous ass.
Fine then. I hope you die.
You talking to me?
As Keiichi cries in the corner, he hears from the other room that Takano has been found dead. We smash cut to Keiichi once again returning to the scene of the crime, determined to prove to himself that he did in fact kill Teppie. As he starts digging in the rain, Oishi appears. Maybe Irei actually did call the police. Keiichi tries to escape but is pushed back into the hole, where Oishi demands he keeps digging. Maybe Keiichi needs a little song to sing while he's down there?
I'm a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy diggy hole.
Ah, that takes me back. Sometime later, Keiichi still hasn't found the body. As he stops to take a breath, one of Oishi's officers just casually chucks him out of the hole and continues in his place. I mean, the dude doesn't even look that strong, but apparently picking up a 14-year-old kid is like picking up my self-esteem.
The joke is I have no self-esteem. Or self-worth.
Oishi tries to get Keiichi to tell him what he's looking for, but instead Keiichi wishes that Oyashiro's curse gets him too.
I have no idea where this sudden belief in Oyashiro's come from, but he's throwing curses around like a kid nowadays would call someone Hitler. Hey, do you mind if I copy your homework? Actually, I kinda do. Well, I hope Oyashiro's curse gets you then. What do you mean by that? Keiichi, what do you mean by that? Oh. Hey, Mio, what are you reading? 1 minute, I'm getting to the good bit. You just gonna ignore me like that? Well, I hope Oyashiro's curse gets you too. Ha! Nice. So what was it you want? Keiichi? Has this even come out yet? Keiichi, what's this I hear about you cursing people? Yes, Principal Hood. What have I told you about doing that? To not to. If I hear that you've been doing it again, then I'll have to actually do some proper teaching. Not if Oyashiro's curse gets you too. What was that? Nothing!
The officer calls Oishi over.
So, what am I looking at?
It appears to be some kind of pipe, sir. Damn it, man, we're Japanese. You're supposed to be speaking English. That's what I did, sir. My God.
The officer says that the ground around the pipe is harder compared to the dirt he was just shoveling. He guesses, judging by how loose the dirt was before, that they've actually dug deeper than what the hole originally was, much to Keiichi's surprise. Early next morning, Keiichi is lying in bed, #relatable, probably after not sleeping. #relatable. He keeps going over the murder of Teppie in his head, finally questioning if he even did it in the first place. He realises that, if Teppie isn't dead, then he's still with Satoko. With newfound determination, Keiichi goes to his garage where he acquires an axe of all things.
Question?
Why did you use a bat first time round when you had a perfectly good axe just sitting in your garage? I get the symbolism with it being Satoshi's bat and all, but
if I was going to kill someone, I would use the thing that could chop him into bits. I'm just saying it would be more manageable, you know, you could cut the body up into like little pieces and stick them in a bag, carry the bag around, find a proper place to dispose of the pieces, you know, compared to like carrying a whole body around, because that could be a bit suspicious, you know. Carry a bag of bits around, and then like dispose of them that way. It just makes more sense to me, you know.
A gun's a lot cleaner.
Yes, but it's also easier.
As Keiichi steps outside, he hears another footstep behind him, believing it to be Satoshi, for some reason, but once again doesn't see anyone. As he arrives at Teppei's house, he's surprised to find the front door unlocked and the house to be in a state. I like how Keiichi's here to kill Teppei again, and yet he has the decency to take his shoes off before entering the house. You've got some strange standards there, Keiichi. As he searches the house, he hears the bath running. Upon finding Satoko's uniform, he's somehow able to deduce that she's been in there all night. He rushes to the bathroom to... Oh, God!
As if it wasn't bad enough having Irei want to marry her, now we've got to look at her naked body! For fuck's sake, Japan! She's 11!
Keiichi pulls her from the tub, and doesn't cover her in a towel before...
Okay, I can't show any clips from this. I'm making no money!
Long story short, the reason she was in there all night was because her uncle told her to count to 10,000.
Wait, what?
Keiichi tries to go Super Saiyan this time, and storms the house, searching for Teppei, wrecking the place in the process. Sometime later, Keiichi is carrying Satoko to the clinic, in nothing but a bath towel.
Even though they could have quite easily have picked up some clothes when they were inside her house.
But when they arrive, they discover some police cars. Keiichi investigates and overhears that Irei has committed suicide and that Oishi has gone missing. Telling Satoko what happened, Keiichi remembers that he wished Irei to die, but Satoko shakes it off as pure coincidence. She convinces Keiichi to take her to Rika's house to get some clothes.
Which you could have gotten back at Teppei's house!
I'm tired of nakedness.
Upon arriving, Keiichi wonders aloud about how, when he wished for Takano, Oishi and Irei to die, that they actually did. He also wonders how Teppei is still alive, confessing to Satoko that he killed him on the night of the festival. Surprisingly, Satoko seems oddly calm about this revelation, telling Keiichi to head home and get some rest, running off before Keiichi can even say anything. By the nearby shrine, Keiichi hears some crows. Going to investigate, he discovers...
Oh, we're doing this again!
As if it's bad enough having one naked girl, now we have two! And this one's dead! Keiichi scares off the crows. Huh?
No, not you.
Oh. But drops his axe in Rika's blood.
Boy, this sure would be an awkward time for Sadako to turn up.
She runs off into the woods, Keiichi in tow, trying to convince her that he didn't kill Rika.
Because running after someone while holding a bloody axe screaming, "I didn't kill her," really makes you look innocent.
Satoko laments on considering Keiichi to be a replacement for her brother, as she makes her way to a suspension bridge, where she trips and falls. Keiichi closes ground, even throwing the axe away to try and gain her trust, but Satoko insists that he turns around and puts his hands behind his head. She says that, regardless of what she's seen, she doesn't necessarily believe Keiichi is a bad person. More so, she believes he's been possessed.
Don't know what led you to that train of thought.
She even says that she was once possessed when she was very young. We get a flashback to a time where Satoko, Rika and some other kids were playing hide and seek. Satoko, accidentally, ends up in the shrine that holds all the ceremonial tools, the same one we saw Keiichi, Shion and Takano enter in the previous arc. Satoko tries to get out the same way she came in, but accidentally breaks off the right hand of a statue of Oyashiro. It appears to send out some kind of shockwave, God knows how, and for some reason, Rika gets the blame for it. To make things weirder, Satoko watches her getting punished.
This better not awaken anything in me.
I have some questions.
Firstly, at what point in that story were you possessed? You were playing a game and accidentally ended up somewhere you weren't supposed to. Are you trying to say you were possessed to go in there? Secondly, how exactly does Rika get the blame for breaking the statue? I realise it's a representation of your village god, so of course the people of the shrine aren't going to be too happy about it, but Rika was nowhere near it. My best guess is that since no one owned up to breaking the thing, Rika's dad just defaulted to lashing out at her for playing the game in the first place. I don't know. Even then, there are eyewitnesses to say that Rika wasn't the one to break it, so it makes even less sense. Thirdly, is that tiny Keiichi? I mean, I know it isn't, since he's a couple of years older than Satoko and Rika, and didn't live at Hinamizawa at that point. But why have this random kid that looks exactly like him? He's even wearing a chibi version of Keiichi's school clothes. Very odd choice on the production side of things. Anyway, the point Satoko was trying to get across was, because she broke the statue and didn't admit to it, that all the terrible stuff that's happened to her is divine retribution. Her parents dying as the second-year curse victims, her aunt dying last year, Satoshi abandoning her, Teppei's abuse, you know, all that stuff. She saw Keiichi's arrival as a sign that maybe things are finally changing. But something has now possessed him and taken Rika away from her. As Keiichi tries to tell her otherwise, Satoko somehow pushes Keiichi through and off the bridge.
My confusion doesn't come from Satoko's super strength. I mean, we've already seen her use it twice already. I'm more confused about how Keiichi was able to pass through those railings.
Looking at this still here, there isn't much space for him to fall through. So, unless he's secretly Kitty Pryde from the X-Men, Keiichi shouldn't be falling right now.
Then again, they are technically video game characters, so maybe they turned on no-clip?
Keiichi is able to grab onto something before he falls too far, as Satoko begins rocking the bridge, damning Keiichi to hell. He calls out, saying that everything he did was for her, but Satoko is having none of it. The last of Keiichi's strength gives in as he begins to tumble to the waters below. He remembers back to those quiet Hinamizawa days he spent with his friends, longing for them to come back. Before he hits the water, he makes one final wish. Death. Death to everyone in Hinamizawa. Sometime later, we see via a news broadcast that a large-scale disaster has befallen the town, poisonous gas flooding the area. Over 1,000 people have already been found dead, with more coming in as they search the area. With only one survivor. Keiichi is having trouble breathing because of the gas, but has been admitted to the hospital and put in critical care. Our story ends with the news broadcast getting cut off abruptly, as the television breaks. Oh, here we go, okay. I'm not entirely sure what to think about this one. I've already commented on how the first episode is very similar to its counterpart from the previous arc, but I'd actually say the first 3 episodes of this arc are very good. It's once Keiichi has actually committed murder that the story seems to lose its way. Up until then, you have a very concise and driven narrative. Keiichi seeking vengeance for Satoko and Satoshi by murdering their uncle, and the steps he takes to set up that event are interesting to see. His motivation to protect his friends, and the little flashback he has, is the kind of character depth he's not necessarily been lacking, but it's welcoming to finally see it. It's all the contradictions to the series of events we've witnessed that come afterward that kind of ruin it. Mainly because there is no clear-cut answer as to whether Keiichi actually did murder Teppie or not. Episode 4 goes out of its way to show that Keiichi didn't kill him, only to completely drop the question in the latter half of the story and never answer it. While previous arcs also end with some lingering questions, they are eventually answered in other arcs. Except this one.
I've actually visited a couple of the forums to see what people think of this story, and the general consensus seems to go a little something like this.
Quite simply, yeah, Keiichi didn't kill Teppie. He did do most of the prep work, par digging the original hole, hence why he couldn't find it when he was disposing the body, and then hallucinated the actual murder itself, while in fact he was at the festival with everyone else. It's when it starts raining that he leaves the festival, and also where he links up with his hallucinations, where he can't find the hole he dug, and, well, you know all the rest. As for Satoshi's missing bat, well, like I said, he moved the bat from the locker long before the events of the cotton drifting, and we never see him checking behind the shed to see if it's still there. If anything, it's still there now. The hole that he dug never had anything in it. The police officer is right, Keiichi dug a hole and filled it back up again. Hence why the dirt is so loose compared to the harder dirt further down and surrounding it. As for Teppei's absence when Keiichi visited his house, note that his scooter was also missing. It's easy to assume that Teppei simply left early that morning to go somewhere else. Sure, we don't know where he's gone, but at this point it doesn't really matter. It might also mean that in that particular series of events, Teppei's another survivor, depending if he left the town or something, so that's quite interesting, because if he left the town he wouldn't have gotten poisoned by the gas. It's very interesting, very little thinky thing. Now, as for how Keiichi was able to wish people to death, well, we can't give away all the secrets now, can we? I mean, we could, but we're not. The curse-killing arc is a very mixed bag, to say the least, though I do find myself leaning towards the it's bad kind of category. On the whole, I'd say this is the weakest arc overall, so far that is. I know I said the previous arc was kind of awkward, as well as bad in some places, but at least it was entertaining. I would happily rewatch the second arc, no problem. This though, well, I wasn't joking when I said this made me feel a little depressed. Child abuse is a very serious topic, and I'll give Higurashi credit for at least trying to tell a good story with it. But come episode 3, and the topic feels like it's just been pushed to the sidelines in favour for Keiichi's murder prep, as well as him trying to figure out if he actually did kill Teppei. Thankfully, we do eventually get a good story that tackles Satoko's abuse a lot better. And I'd very much say that that story is probably influenced by the somewhat mediocre response I'd imagine this arc generated. I certainly find it mediocre, at least. I don't think it helps that this is a Satoko-focused arc either. I've never really been that big of a fan of her, and while I definitely do sympathise for her, the overall quality of this story doesn't make me like her any more than I did beforehand. To be fair, up until now, Satoko hasn't really given me anything to really like about her. It's not even that I dislike her outright. It's just, before this, she never really left that much of an impression on me. And I'll admit, off the top of my head, I can't really say she does anything too egregious down the line either. Then again, when you've got as wide of a cast as you do here, there was always going to be at least one person who slipped through the cracks. Otherwise, I'm not quite sure what else to say about this. While I'm quite satisfied with recommending the first 2 arcs, I feel like you could quite easily skip this one. But even then, regarding the larger story, there are some small elements of this that are quite important. The point of these initial 3 arcs is to show you different sides of a kind of sort of connected story, and to figure out the inconsistencies and contradictions, much like we did with Keiichi's story earlier. I don't know, I've had a very hard time writing this one. The child abuse story really brings the mood down, as it should, but the story never really quite picks back up from that. It's also not quite as thrilling as the previous arcs, if you ask me. Of course, that's just my opinion. If you enjoy the story, then more power to you. But for me, the only times I'd rewatch this story would be if I was intentionally doing a marathon of the show. And even then, it does tend to kill my buzz while watching it. Regardless, with the curse-killing chapter complete, we find ourselves leaving what is referred to as the question arcs. And it's high time we got some answers. So join me next time as we delve into the past of Hinamizawa and finally discover the truth that Rika Furude has been hiding all this time. In the time-wasting arc.
As always, thank you for your continued support and patience for this series. As I've said before, this is a pet project of mine, and it genuinely makes me really happy to not only talk about this show, but to also see that other people are excited to see more of these, and it genuinely really makes me excited for this. If you've enjoyed this and want to see some more of my stuff, that would be greatly appreciated. I put a lot of time and effort into these videos, and I really hope that comes across. And of course, if you want to stay up to date, then do check out our Facebook page, at Crewe on the Sofa. Check us out on Twitter. We've also got a Snapchat, Crewe on the Sofa. You can genuinely find us that way. We also talk about some silly things on there. You get exclusive posts, and it's a lot easier to see what's going on with me and the process of these videos. I've been Michael Crewe from Crewe on the Sofa. You already knew that. And until next time, when the Higurashi cry.
Oishi proceeds to ask 2 of the background characters where Satoshi? God, yeah, I think we'd all like to know where Satoshi is. What about you, E-Ray? Do you know where Satoshi is?
What the devil was that?
Foreshadowing. It happens.